Welcome to Cybersecurity Awareness TV, episode number 479, recorded August 8, 2025. Join me, Dr. Mac Jackson Jr., cybersecurity speaker, trainer, and advocate for a safer digital community. Gear up for a thrilling ride through the cybersecurity tips, news, and gain expert knowledge. Welcome again, folks. Subscribe, like, and follow us on all of our social media platforms. If you'd like to find out more about my company, you can find it at MacJacksonJR.com for more information, MacJacksonJR, or VandersonCyberGroup.com. That's VandersonCyberGroup.com. In today's episode, we're going to talk about parenting in the digital danger zone. That's parenting in the digital danger zone. We'll be right back, folks, after these messages. Hello, folks. This is Mac Jackson Jr. from Vanderson Cyber Group. The problem with businesses today is that they are affected by cyber attacks from around the world, but companies are not sure of what to do. Normally, they are reactive instead of proactive. But folks, cyber attacks can affect your bottom line, and it will affect you financially, legally, and your business reputation. Here at Vanderson Cyber Group, we can help you develop a policy by training your employees on what to do if they are involved in a cyber attack and how to mitigate it and fight against it. Folks, we call it here #StayCyberWoke. And that's Vanderson Cyber Group here in Las Vegas and around the world. You can reach me, folks, at VandersonCyberGroup.com or my website, MacJacksonJr.com as well. Here locally, 702-868-0808. Give us a call today, folks. We must fight back. Hi, folks. Welcome back to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. In this episode, we're going to discuss what's going on when it comes into our issues regarding families, communities, and digital safety advocacy. Again, my name is Dr. Mac Jackson Jr., and we will tackle the uncomfortable and critical truth that we must describe to our parents, educators, and policymakers. They must hear this information, folks. With the landmark legislation going on regarding a new act called Kids Online Safety, it is gaining traction through Congress. Children are still outsmarting the digital safety zone, folks. And as I've always stated on this show and for years, as hackers develop software to try to exploit our children, exploit our businesses, lawmakers try to pass laws to protect us, but they always seem to be one step behind. The new law that has been established by Congress, called the Kids Online Safety Act, has created massive steps towards protecting big data, protecting families, and making big data accountable by enforcing platforms for safety standards and handling online predators and making sure that things are safe for our kids online. But with all this said, folks, the reality is that no legislation, no matter how intimidating or how its intentions, can replace the power of digital parenting, education, and trust. The conversations of online communities must be extended throughout the households, through students, and through our local communities. In today's episode, we'll explore how kids are bypassing protections and what you can do about it, and why awareness is still our greatest defense in this digital world. Stay with us, folks, as we go through this information and informative episode for you. Here's a first story coming to us from CBS News, Indiana.
For your money this morning, for the first time in a generation, Congress is on the verge of passing a law specifically written to protect children on the internet. The Kids Online Safety Act has a lot of support, but also some opposition. And Zach Myers joins us to show us what the law would do, who's for it, And who's against it, Zach?
That's right. I guess we all figured this was happening more often, but the last time Congress passed a law specifically to protect kids online was 1998, before social media or the iPhone, or before any current teenagers were even born. And back then, if you got email, it would tell you, you've got mail. Supporters of this effort say that the update is long overdue and it could get a vote this month. The Kids Online Safety Act, or KOSA, would create a duty of care, which is a legal term for requiring companies to take reasonable steps to prevent harm. So this would require social media platforms, gaming platforms, and other online companies to prevent and mitigate harms to kids online, like bullying and violence, promotion of suicide, eating disorders, substance abuse, sexual exploitation, and promoting illegal products. It would require protecting kids' information and limit adults from communicating with children, and disable things that encourage kids to stare at a screen for hours, like autoplay on videos. Enforcement would be up to state attorneys general and the Federal Trade Commission. Now, this has the support of many organizations like the American Academy of Pediatrics, American Federation of Teachers, the NAACP, and others. But there's also opposition from the ACLU, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and the Free Expression Project, and others who have First Amendment concerns, especially for vulnerable kids who wouldn't be able to access information on LGBTQ issues or reproductive rights. Although the bill has been revised to address those concerns, and major LGBTQ organizations have come out supporting it. Also supporting it are 68 senators who've signed on as a co-sponsor of the bill, which would be enough to pass it. So how soon could that happen? Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer supports the bill himself, and he says he's ready to bring it to the floor right now. He announced that last week. But that hasn't happened yet because of the objections to the bill, which could mean a week or more of procedural votes before a final vote would happen. So this wouldn't just be bringing it to the floor in a quick vote. So far, he just hasn't set the time aside on the floor for debate and discussion for that. Of course, things have been a little hectic on Capitol Hill over the last week or so. Lots going on. So no word on how that's affecting scheduling. No telling how that's affecting this. But still, proponents of this do have a goal of getting it passed sometime this month. But when I heard 1998,
right.
How is that even possible that it hasn't happened before?
A lot has changed since 1998. It is time to update based off of what's going on right now when it comes to kids online, right?
The top website visited that year was AOL.com.
AOL. Oh, that takes you back.
You've got mail.
Yeah, you've got mail. And I can just hear right now trying to load the old systems.
And the dial-up.
The dial-up.
Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, let's see what happens. I know you'll keep us posted, Zach. Thanks so much. Well, the CrowdStrike.
The Kids Online Safety Act isn't just a legislative proposal. It's becoming a national conversation. Leading organizations like the American Academy of Pediatrics, or Common Sense Media, and Mental Health America have railed behind it, emphasizing the urgent need for stronger safeguards to protect children's mental health and their digital well-being. On the other hand, critics, including the Electric Frontier Foundation, EFF, Fight for Future, and some civil liberties groups like the ACLU have urged that we define what is harmful content, and could it lead to over-censorship, potential silencing marginal voices such as LGBT plus youth and other groups that may have their content scrutinized. There's also concerns of law enforcement putting pressure on platforms to weaken encryption and privacy protection. And these are some things that we're concerned with also in the industry. Here's a stated fact. The last major update to the federal laws regarding child online privacy protection, such as the Child Online Privacy Protection Act, COPPA, was passed, folks, in 1998. That's over 25 years ago. That's before cell phones, apps, and any kind of social media operations ever existed. Why the delay? Well, folks, technology has evolved faster than legislation. As we said before, folks, hackers always write code to get up to the line of being illegal before they cross over it. And by the time they cross over the line of illegality, our legislators are still behind when it comes to protecting us. Folks, these type of laws must be known and aware of by our legislators, but it starts from the family. So folks, the Kids Online Safety Act that Congress has set up mostly takes a serious attempt to help protect kids online, and we definitely applaud that. But we also want to make sure that our privacy and safety creates a balance for our freedoms that keeps us away we can still express them. We have another story to share with you coming to us from NBC News. Check this one out.
Earlier this afternoon, the Senate overwhelmingly passed landmark legislation aimed at keeping kids safer online. The final vote, 91 yeas to 3 nays, and it comes 6 months after an apology on Capitol Hill from Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg to parents who say their kids were harmed online.
I'm sorry for everything that you have all gone through. It's terrible. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered.
That exchange was during an emotional Senate hearing with several other big tech CEOs about this legislation. NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin joins us now from Capitol Hill and has been tracking this. So, Julie, we talked about this months ago. The measure is made up of 2 bills here, the Children and Teens Online Privacy Protection Act and the Kids Online Safety Act. It has all been characterized as some of the most significant congressional developments to happen in decades to regulate social media actions. So tell us more about this and its significance.
Yes, Zinkley, since 1998, that is the last time that Congress addressed any kind of legislation when it comes to regulating online platforms. Of course, back then we didn't have social media companies, but any platforms that could affect kids. Even when I was growing up, when you were growing up, I'm sure too, we talked about the importance of cyberbullying, of avoiding that. Only now in 2024, kids can't get off their phones, right? They are everywhere, especially when I talked to one mom, for example, whose son took his life during COVID because he was cyberbullied so extensively. So the focus of this legislation, really, first of all, it's bipartisan. And second of all, it would actually hold some accountability to these social media platforms. It would enforce algorithms that they said have been harming kids, harmful content that you could be seeing. It doesn't control the content, but it does hold the social media companies accountable and not pushing harmful content to kids, especially if they're under the age of 18. It has parental controls as well that are enforced through these apps. And again, very importantly, parents will be able to sue these social media companies to actually hold them accountable, to be able to fight fire with fire, essentially, here. And one of the big reasons it took so long to get to this point, Zinkley, is because, of course, the tech companies have extremely powerful lobbies that have been trying to hold senators, keep them from passing something like this.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Let's talk about the problem beneath the policy, folks. From screen time limitation to age restrictions and content filters, many parents believe that they have control over their children's digital experience. But in today's hyper-connected world, tech-savvy kids are proving otherwise, and they're opening up opportunities for hackers. Let's explore this a little bit. There's a real-time story, folks, to share with you about a 12-year-old girl here in the U.S., in one of our major cities in the U.S., discovered that a glitch on her iPhone, right, that allowed her to bypass the Safari built-in safety settings, right? And she was able to do this and bypass it so she can get content that was for adults and not for children, right? As adults created these types of security setups, the kids were able to find out ways to bypass them. And she's not alone, folks. All across the world and across our country as well, kids are sidestepping parental protections using tools like VPNs, which we talked about before as a tool to protect us. A VPN is a virtual private network, folks, and it's recommended for adults that I have recommended to my clients use. If you're in a hotel or a coffee shop traveling around the world, use a VPN to protect your data from hackers. Well, kids are now using the same VPN to protect themselves from parents trying to watch what they're doing online. And a VPN, again, folks, masks your location and also allow you to have access to restricted sites. Others have figured out ways, other kids that is, have figured out ways to clear the data and reset their devices entirely, wiping out their tracking and restriction settings without leaving a trace. And you may say, wow, how's that possible? We'll talk about that later in the show. What we witness is, folks, is a growing divide between the tools that our parents are used to tackle their kids in ways to protect them and ways that kids are trying to bypass their security for their adventure to find out this new technology. It isn't just easy to monitor their behavior. We must have tools that we can use that we can rely on. And no governmental act will fix this system. It has to be with the understanding and the communication we have with our kids. So what actually happens behind the scenes when our kids have this type of time? While many parents believe that the digital restrictions are working, right? The reality, and more concerning, is that they are not. Kids are always trying to find ways to get past this type of technology. They're curious. We all were. I was curious as well when I was 14, looking at ways to bypass security. How I became an ethical hacker, same sort of way. But we need to use our power for the good, kids, and not use it for bad. Exploiting these bugs, such as the one from the Apple Screen Time and Google Family Link, using VPN or some other type of a proxy server to bypass content filters and to block data, is a way that kids are utilizing these protections that parents have stated in their household, and kids are finding a way to go around it. They're also doing another one calling deleting all the data that these files are used to monitor their activities, right? We have to put in features and protocols not allowing this to happen. There is things like age restrictions. It's also an upcoming issue that will affect all of us, folks. A lot of companies around the world, such as the EU, are coming out with new restrictions and guidelines on accessing just simple social media platforms that you must have age verification. But what they're doing, folks, they're doing things like telling you must have your ID, such as a driver's license or a passport, in order to have access to a website. Folks, in the community, myself as a cybersecurity professional and a scientist and researcher, and other academics are looking at this, and we see privacy issues at hand. Why are we having to use a driver's license to go into a Reddit site, to go into a social media site, to verify that we are an adult? If that information is stored on a site, it can be used to collect information about us. I have talked about this on my show for years regarding data brokers having access to our content information that we have collected in our movements in our everyday lives. This is something that we should be cautious about and concerned with. This particular law does not have any provisions about this. Again, our legislators need to be educated on what's going on in our digital world, and that's slowly happening. But the parent must have this type of education as well. This new act can help to standardize it for parents and educators, but it is not enough. It doesn't fill the continuous gap there is between the next generations of online. The Kids Online Safety Act, called CASAS, is a massive step towards the fight against protecting our kids in the digital world. It compels big tech companies to have safety environments, enforce strong privacy settings, and equip parents with better tools to monitor and manage the kids' online activities. But here's a critical truth. There's no law to replace digital parenting, education, and trust. Even the strongest legislation has limitations. Hackers, predators, social engineers know how to exploit and crack these systems. They can bypass filters, manipulate algorithms and platforms, and even create fake child-friendly applications to lure children in. And if parents aren't solely aware of this, without communication, these threats can go unnoticed. That's why families must do what they can to protect their kids from these online predators. And I have some steps here for you folks. So if you have a chance, write some of these down or contact me for more information on this, folks, and I will send you some free information on this particular protection. Here are some things you can do. Use some of the tools that are available, but explain to your child why you're using these tools, and have your child a part of this particular process. These are some information I have researched from child advocacy groups and child psychologists as well. Talk openly to your children as well about the dangers and have a communications built into awareness and resilience. Check devices together. Make it a routine, not a punishment. Model ethical techniques used by other professionals, and watch the behaviors and their tones and how your child responds when they're telling about certain people they're meeting online. And folks, the best thing to do here, folks, is to stay informed. Threats evolve faster than legislations can adopt, which we talked about before. Technology should support the conversations and not replace it. At the end of the day, the most powerful parental control is a strong trust relationship with your child, as we all know. That's your best defense, folks, against hackers, predators, and the dark corners of the internet. The Kids Online Safety Act is a tool, but it's not the firewall. Not the firewall, folks, not at all. So this coming legislation that has passed in several different states is a necessary shift on how we must hold big tech companies accountable for safety of our children. But let's be real. Kids need to be more involved in this ingest regulations, as well as the parents. They must be guided, and with guidance. The need for digital awareness is more than just something that we are letting them connect and not monitoring them. We must stay informed, and our communities must be behind us when we do these things. That's exactly why we're here. If you find value in today's episode, I encourage you to take action, folks. Be sure to like and subscribe and share the content of this information with parents, educators, and leaders in your community. These conversations matter, and together we can change the digital culture of our children as they grow up. Visit MacJacksonJR.com and explore these opportunities and this information. We have training processes, we have online books, and things like one of our new books that we have come out called Parenting in the Digital Danger Zone, folks. It's my latest ebook where you'll find practical guide to keeping up with family safety online. Folks, until next time, I want you to stay safe and stay aware. And also, we have an upcoming event here scheduled in Las Vegas. That's right. Set up during Cybersecurity Awareness Month in October. It's October 25th. That's right, folks. Live in Las Vegas, I will have a panel of cybersecurity experts. We'll have people from law enforcement, from the local police department, child advocacy groups, parents, senior citizens, and small businesses talking to you in our communities about how to protect themselves from the cyber threats and what you can do and the steps you can take. So definitely, folks, stay tuned. Go to my website, and that's at Vanderson Cyber Group, to find out more of the location, where here in Las Vegas it will be. And we're also going to have a virtual streaming as well of the actual event. So, folks, we definitely welcome you to be there and be a part of this. So, folks, until next time, stay safe, stay secure, and always stay aware. I'm Dr. Mac Jackson Jr., and you've been watching Cybersecurity Awareness TV. See you next week.